Here's the truth. The hardest part of being a concept artist isn't learning anatomy or mastering Photoshop. It's the mental game. It's sitting down in front of a blank page, feeling your stomach sink because you're afraid the drawing won't be good enough. It's scrolling online, seeing another artist's work, and immediately questioning if you'll ever catch up. And sometimes it's wondering if you ever belong in this industry at all. Today, while I sketch, I want to talk about the biggest psychological struggles that aspiring concept artists face, the fears, the doubts, the burnout, and how to push through them. Because if you've ever felt like you're stuck in your own head, you're definitely not alone. So, the first thing is the fear of a blank page. I've talked about this before several times on my channel. The blank page feels innocent, but it's one of the scariest parts of being an artist. You want the first mark to be perfect. You think, this sketch has to prove I'm good, and that pressure paralyzes you. Here's the truth. Your sketchbook doesn't need to be proof of your skills. It doesn't need to be portfolio ready. It needs to be messy, it needs to be raw and imperfect. The first line is never supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to be a spark. And once you let yourself make that messy start, you silence that inner critic and open the door for creativity to step in. The scariest part is starting, and the bravest part is starting anyway. It's kind of like going to the gym. You know it's going to be hard at first, and then slowly but surely you start gaining confidence and you feel better about the situation, and then you get excited about doing it. All right, the next thing is a big one: comparison and imposter syndrome. One of the hardest emotions in this journey is comparison. You see artists younger than you creating designs that look like they belong in a AAA game studio. And you feel crushed. It's like no matter how much you practice, you'll never catch up. But here's what comparison does. It takes away your joy and it replaces it with shame. You start to believe you're behind, when really everyone's path is different. That artist you admire, they've been on their own unique timeline, with struggles you'll never see. And you know what? Every piece of art that makes you feel small should actually make you feel hopeful, because it proves what's possible. It's not a wall keeping you out, it's a door showing you what you can walk toward. The next thing I want to talk about is burnout and pressure. All right, so let's talk about burnout because it hits aspiring artists extra hard. A lot of us treat every sketch like it has to be a masterpiece, like it has to earn a place in the portfolio. That kind of pressure doesn't just kill joy, it kills progress. Burnout doesn't happen because you don't love art. Burnout happens because you forget that play is part of the process. Think about when you first started drawing. You weren't thinking about clients or jobs or likes online. You were just exploring. You were curious. That energy is what fuels creativity. If you take it away, drawing becomes a job before it even is one. And when drawing feels like work all the time, your brain rebels. You get exhausted. You get blocked. The cure for burnout isn't pushing harder. The cure is remembering why you fell in love with drawing in the first place. Something that I always talk about on this channel, and I'm never going to stop mentioning this. It's if you feel like no matter what you do, you're just not getting better, or you feel like you don't have the aptitude to draw, you don't have the hardware, just ask yourself, do you really love art? Or are you just telling yourself that you love the idea of being good at it without actually loving doing the thing? Just be very careful about that. We all aspire to be certain things. I remember when I first got my feet wet in this industry, and this was after university, so this was after my industrial design training, I still wanted games so badly, games and movies. And I looked at my portfolio and it was just a hodgepodge of ID and pretty good creatures, poorly executed armor, environment concept art. All of the skill level did not match. It looked like 5 different people did my portfolio. And I still loved it though. I still loved the process of drawing. So I made sure that I really honed in on what I loved to do, and that was creatures. And then it kind of blossomed from there. I was able to get bigger clients, get jobs at AAA studios, and then eventually branch out once I was in, because that way I saw the inner workings of how everything was happening. That love kept it going. So just remember, if you're feeling burnt out, we all feel it. All of us do. And it's not just with art. It's with everything that we do. All right, now, the next thing I want to talk about is the fear of failure. This is huge. The fear of failure is another silent weight. And you tell yourself, what if this sketch looks awful? What if people laugh? What if this proves I'm not good enough? But here's the thing. Failure is not proof that you can't do it. Failure is proof that you're trying. Every bad sketch teaches you something your perfect sketch never could. Failure isn't the enemy, it's the teacher. When you give yourself permission to fail, which is what I've mentioned before, you give yourself permission to grow. And ironically, when you stop fearing bad drawings, that's when the good ones start to show up. So if you buy your sketchbook and you're ready to sit down and start to draw, and you immediately start to worry about what you're about to put on that page is not going to look good based on what you have drawn in the past, it will most likely look terrible. Why? Because you are setting yourself up for failure before you even begin anything. This is why I heavily advocate for thumbnail sketching and scribbling on my channel, because it's a universal practice that any skill level can go for. And when I mean by skill level, I mean if you're green, you're a junior, if you're a mid-level artist, or you're a 27, 30, 40, 50-year veteran in this industry, it doesn't matter. Because we all have room and we all have time to go back for the fundamentals. Okay. Next section, flow state and play. There's something magical that happens when you let go of judgment. Flow state. It's when you lose track of time, when ideas start to connect, when the drawing almost feels like it's drawing itself. Flow doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from letting go. It comes from scribbling, from experimenting, from saying, what if I try this crazy idea? Play is the doorway to flow. If you want your art to feel alive, you need to give yourself permission to play again. The sketches that feel silly and random, even childish, they're often the ones that unlock something completely new. That's the power of play. And to go further on that, I have a stack of sketchbooks next to me that span, I don't know, 7, 8 years maybe. And I flip through them from time to time, and I distinctly remember certain ones that I felt great about, and others that I put on a page just to fill the space because it looked good. And I never really gave those much thought. I just whipped some lines together with some random suggestive shapes with no real intent of those ever coming back to be awesome. Well, guess what? A lot of them turned out to be quite awesome, in my opinion, for what I was going for. And I remember a lot of those projects. Some of them were for clients and some of them were personal projects. And I'm going, why didn't I choose that one? And I remember sitting there doing those pages and I'm going, huh, I actually wasn't thinking too hard when I was doing those specific ones, and they turned out to be the best ones. So, those of you listening right now that are wondering about if you're good enough, if you have the patience, just remember that your sketchbook is a journey that you can go on, that you can document for yourself. And seeing the progress is going to give you more confidence. That's why I tell students never ever erase your original thumbnails. Number them and date the pages so that you can go back and go, oh, look what I did 4 weeks ago compared to my thumbnails now. My line quality improved. My shape language improved. My shading improved. All of it improved together. Some people take baby steps. Some people take a little longer. But that doesn't matter as long as you're moving forward. This is something that I tell my mentees all the time. I don't give them grades. I don't harp on them if they miss a deadline and the mentorship is over. No, what I care about is forward progress. And by doing thumbnail sketching and loving the process, you're already moving forward. So if you take anything away from all of this, let it be this. Concept art isn't just about technique, it's about mindset. The blank page doesn't control you. Comparison doesn't define you. Burnout doesn't mean you're broken. And there's that thing that starts with an F, and it's called failure. Failure is the proof that you're brave enough to try. Please tell yourself that over and over and over again. You're brave enough to try if you fail. Your sketchbook isn't a courtroom where you have to prove your worth. It's a playground where you explore your imagination. The more you let yourself play, the more you'll find your voice. So the next time you sit down to sketch, don't chase perfection. Chase curiosity. Chase play. Because in the end, that's what turns sketches into stories and stories into worlds. And that's what being a concept artist is all about. Thanks, everybody. And comment below. Let me know if you're going through these struggles or whatever struggles you're going for or whatever struggles you're going through. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you later. Peace.